Hello, everybody. Welcome to Coach's Corner. This is the second one of 2025, I believe, if I'm quoting correctly.
Yeah, and
Welcome
week
to
8. This is our 8th week.
eighth week. Yes, eighth week in a row. And we have some amazing, I'm sure stories to share as well. We might not have any props. I don't know. That might come
Yeah,
from, you know, we're short one
Alicia.
person, Alicia.
Yeah,
But
she's at a training today, so she's not able to join us.
yeah, but maybe I'll find something around here and try and incorporate it into the video. But
Maybe
I'm
one of your daughter's dolls or something, or
right.
animals.
It's funny, your intuition is very strong because I'm looking at something she had placed on a table for me. So, without further ado, this is Coach's Corner. Every Sunday we meet at 10 a.m. Eastern to help share some knowledge for you, but to help guide you as well. So my name is Jamel Matias. I'm a certified Bob Proctor coach, life coach, mindset success coach, whatever you want to call me, and you know, it's interesting that we're talking about this topic, but I'll get into that in a second. I'm based in Maryland on the East Coast, and my Instagram is Believe in the Unseen. And I'm sure we're going to talk about belief today. And, my goal is basically your goal, believe in what you want to achieve, whether it's more money, better profit margin in your business. It doesn't matter. My goal is to help you with that. So I'll pass it to my amazing colleague, Paul.
Thank you very much, Jamel. I'm really happy to be here this week, and it's a great topic. Praxis. It's a word that, like, wow, I'd never heard it before I started studying this. But I'm in the Toronto, Ontario area of Canada, also on the East Coast. Bob Proctor, PGI consultant and mindset and success mentor, and I help individuals achieve their most heartfelt goals and dreams and help them create clarity in their lives and create and design the lives that they really, really want and deserve. And I'm going to pass this on over to Lou.
Hello and welcome, everyone. We are so grateful to have you with us today. So, my name is Lou Perica, and I too am a success mindset mentor. And I work with growth minded women who just want to break free from the hustle and the grind by guiding them to work from the inside out. And together, what we do is we clarify their desires, we cultivate fulfillment, and empower them to show up as their most authentic self for lasting success. So I am located also on the East Coast of the United States. Currently, I'm in Georgia. I go back and forth from Georgia to Maine, and I am thrilled to be here with my colleagues.
All right, let's kick it off. Praxis. Very
Mm.
interesting word, what comes to mind is I'll kind of throw this question out there. Let's just have some fun today to help some people. Like, did you know what praxis was when you first heard that word before?
Nope.
Anybody?
I had no idea, no, and I grappled with it and tried to make sense of it, and it wasn't something I'd ever heard.
Yeah.
Until I just looked up the word. Imagine that. I mean, I understood the definition that we teach and that what Bob taught us, but I never looked up the word. Imagine that. So it's actually praxis is actually practice. It's in like kind of a formal and informal way, but it actually means practice. And so when
Hmm.
you think about it, that's what you start to do in the beginning when you're transitioning from your maybe an older identity into a newer identity. Go ahead, Jamel.
No, I love that. I didn't know that. So I learned something today. Thank you,
Yeah.
Lou. And I know the power of learning words, right?
Mm.
Bob talked about that, and Earl in the new Lead the Field, how expanding your vocabulary is equivalent to, your success in life and your income. So learning words you don't know, I highly suggest you look them up as Lou did. You know, it's a great practice and good habit to have in your life.
Mm.
So praxis, and before I forget, you know, for all our viewers here, feel free to drop some comments. You know, we want to hear from you. You know, we're here to help you. We're here to serve you. And, you know, drop some comments, also some questions as well. You know, we love to interact with you. You know, it's
Don't
not
be
just us.
shy.
Yeah, don't be shy, right? Leave that old shy self behind in 2024. This is a new year, a new you. So practice, you know, it's funny. I mentioned before, you know, I'm a superhero guy, and praxis sounds like like a villain to me. Like this is maybe a paradigm, but it has like this. It sounds like a nemesis or something, right? To me, when I first heard the word, I didn't understand what praxis was. So it's good to understand it with this clarity now, right, and awareness. So let's talk about what this really means. Last week, we talked a lot about fear, you know, and the tie in, last week with today's, you know, topic, fear can basically have you not practice new things that are benefit you, right? It can hold you still or make you move. So here's a question to kind of dive in. How do you ensure that your actions consistently align with your beliefs? And what steps can you take to bridge the gap when they don't? So it's a very deep question there.
Mm.
Anybody want to kind of jump on that one?
I'll start it off, but it is a really, it's a loaded question, right? So, and I love that Lou brought up that praxis means practice, because praxis, as we were taught in our program, is the integration of belief with behavior. So to put it more simply, as Lou said, praxis, equals practice. So it's practicing your belief with your behavior. So sometimes the two aren't aligned. So and last week, that was the discussion was around fear and overcoming your fear, and that going through that terror barrier. And what holds us back, of course, is that we don't really believe, right? We don't really believe in ourselves that we can do it. We're looking at something that we want, but there's that voice inside. And if Alicia was here, she would have something sitting on her shoulder, that voice you have in your head that says, who are you to do that? You can't do it. And so sometimes we have that conflict. We have something that we want to do, but we're not in praxis because we're not, aligning what we want, what we think we want, with what we're actually doing. So, we can go back to, all these lessons. If you've been following along, all these lessons really build on each other. And way back when we started talking about the knowing doing gap, we know things, and rarely do we, not rarely, but sometimes we don't do the things that we know. There's this big gap. And this is sort of similar in that we're not, we say we want to do something, but there's that voice or that inner that paradigm. There's that belief in ourselves, that we don't have it. We say we want to do something, but we're not in alignment because we're not behaving that way. Bob also said once that positive thinking is a half truth. Half truth. What does that mean?
Mhm.
Because we can say positive affirmations and we can repeat those things, but if our actions aren't in line with what we're saying, then it won't happen. It's not going to happen because really we're not really believing it. So that's why I remember someone calling me up once and saying, well, some of these things that you're saying make me really angry, make me really upset, because I tried this positive thinking, but it's not working. Because so they're saying something, but their inner self is saying, well, I hope that happens, or I wish that happens. And praxis is not a mere hope or wish. It's that belief that you can do it. And it was a belief that got you through that terror barrier. So we're not in alignment. So one of the things we have to do is we have to reflect on our core beliefs. We have to assess what our core values and our beliefs are, and what truly matters to us, right? So that way we can help us to identify misalignment. So it's very, really important to notice when our actions don't feel right or align with our core beliefs. And so one strategy is practice journaling, right? To recognize reoccurring patterns that signal when we're out of alignment. So that's a really good way to start. Just don't beat yourself up about it. Just observe, recognize it, and if there's been any missteps, like we've talked about previously, that misstep is part of our success. So we just learn, that misstep is just an opportunity to grow, but we have to learn to identify it. So, what are your core beliefs? Ask yourself what your core beliefs are, and then assess them and see what truly matters, and see if there's any habits that you can incorporate that align with this thing that you want. I hope that sort of makes sense.
Yeah, so I'm going to just address David, yeah, with this comment. Exactly. If your thoughts and actions are not aligned, your vibration is off. You're spot on, David. I just want to take the first part of that question. How do we ensure that our actions align with our beliefs? So I think the most important thing, aligning beliefs really requires self-awareness and intentionality to observe our thoughts, feelings, and actions without judgment, right? So we have to first notice patterns. What are we doing, right? Procrastination, feelings of resistance, and ask ourselves, is it doubt? You know, is it fear? Is it a limiting belief? And then we can start to take actions to course correct that. But we have to take a step back and be objective and look at, what are we doing? What are we thinking? How are we feeling? How are we behaving? And is that lining up with the that we want to achieve? Am I being that person that has already achieved that goal? And just like David was saying, so my thoughts, my feelings, and my behavior must be aligned. I always go like this, not like, they must be aligned. I put a post in Facebook the other day. Your cells are eavesdropping on your thoughts, meaning the cells are listening, so to speak, to all your thoughts. And they actually are controlling what we're doing with our bodies, right? Behaving, our health, how we see things. So we really must be very mindful of how we're thinking and how we see ourselves. So, reflect daily on what it is that you truly believe and what it is that you want to achieve. Look at your results. Are my results the results that I desire? Are they the results of the person with the goal already achieved? And again, just step back. As Paul says, don't beat yourself up. You just want to look objectively, because remember, this is a journey. This whole thing called life is a journey. And it's made up of experiments and trial and error and experiences. But each and every one of us has the ability to choose what it is that we truly desire and to step into that energy of that newer version of us. The second part of that question, I think, what steps can we take to bridge the gap? So just like Paul was saying, again, I journal, I visualize, and I just take an objective look. okay, Lou, this is what your results are, no matter what area of your life it is. This is the results you're getting. Now look at it from the higher version of you with the goal already achieved. Do they match? And it really becomes very clear when you look at it, when you observe it with a different set of eyes and a different perspective. So we have to ask ourselves, what is our intention, right? Um, does the intention align with what it is that we want? But it takes study, it takes self-awareness. This is why we're all so passionate about bringing this information, because we really have to study ourselves and understand ourselves to understand how we operate. It's like, they used to say driving a Ferrari. You have a Ferrari, but you have no idea how powerful it is. You might drive it, but underneath that hood, when you understand what's underneath that hood and how it was built and the history of that Ferrari, you have such a greater, deeper appreciation for that car. It's just my little analogy.
I love that, Lou. I love that. I get excited hearing you both talk about this. I was going to ask you, Lou, do you have a Ferrari prop to kind of drive into the?
No, I have my other prop here. It's
Okay.
my car but it's all taped up.
Okay. All right.
Right? Keeping my instead of having a big vision board, I have little pictures on my top.
Yeah.
So every time I'm working, I'm looking at my goals.
Yeah. Same here. Yeah. I'm looking at mine as well. I really think about, to kind of reiterate what Paul was saying, it's the integration, and Lou as well, it's the integration of belief with behavior. So first you have to have a goal. You got to know where you're headed. You got to know what you want. What do you really want? What is your desire? So this gives you the direction, what to believe in. You can believe in 1,000 things, right? But you have a divided mind. You're going in 1,000 places. So what do you believe in the most right now that you can't see, right? Fear and faith both require you to believe in something you can't see. So now we're kind of talking more about faith because it's something you desire. You have faith in believing something that's not materialized in the physical realm. How do you do that? Right? So this is where self-reflection comes in. You're learning more about yourself and your abilities that may have been lying dormant in most people. So, to talk about a few weeks back, we talked a lot about the stick man, right? So consciously, you can believe in something consciously. Hey, I can talk like Paul. I can talk like Lou. I can talk like Jamel. I can do a live stream and talk about that. I can be a life coach. I can make $1 million a month. I can make $100,000 a month. I can get that job. I can buy that house. I can do my passion, whatever, right? Consciously, you believe that. But do you believe that in your heart of hearts, your subconscious mind? Do you feel that? Do you feel you can do that? And this, it changes it daily too. Some days you might feel it and some days you won't feel it because you're allowing the outside world shape what you feel here. And, the subconscious mind is also known as the garden. So it's your garden. What are you planting here every single day? In every waking moment, right? So it's funny. I said I had a prop here. My daughter had this little flower. Right? Are you planting those flowers in your subconscious mind? Are you planting them here, right? Or are you planting, something else that you don't want there? Maybe some rotten squash or rotten pumpkins or, poison ivy. Maybe you're planting poison ivy in your subconscious mind. So basically the integration of belief with behavior. So it starts with a belief. What are you planting in your subconscious mind? So you can take actions, right? That's hollow action. It's not inspired action. You're not in harmony. When the conscious mind and subconscious mind is out of alignment, there's disharmony. So if if I didn't believe in Coach's Corner in my subconscious mind, but only in my conscious mind, it's out of harmony, it's disharmony. So it starts with belief in a subconscious mind. How do you do that? How do you believe something? You keep telling yourself, these are things I do. I do I am statements in the mirror. I am worthy. I am enough. I love you. I am greatness. I have spirit in me. I have Bob on my side. My parents love me. I have people supporting me. I'm a success. I say these things to myself. Also, the self-image script. We do self-image work, right? What lesson is this? We talked about self-image, right? I think we did. Yeah.
6, yeah, lesson
Yeah.
6.
Yeah, lesson 6. So, you know, basically getting in the spirit of the version with the wish fulfilled. How do you believe it? You have to keep telling yourself that. And it takes repetition. It takes a lot of work, because we're so used to allowing the outside shape the inside. So action, is a part of it. Sometimes if you keep taking the action, it's funny how it can work in reverse, because if you keep taking the action, you start to believe it. So it kind of, you can go either way, but what's most known is believing it while you're taking the action. It's called inspired action. You're inspired to do things. You're not just, I guess I'll do this today. Oh, I guess I'll read. I hope it works. That's you don't believe it. You don't believe in yourself. And a good affirmation for everybody is I believe in myself. I love that one. I say that a lot. So yeah, I love this conversation because it's so essential to growth and better results, you know?
I just
Yeah.
want to say one thing, because we talk about what do you really want? What do you really want? But what we manifest is who we are. Who we are, not really what we want, but who we are. And the overall feeling of who we are, our self image is what draws to us our experiences. So you see, I just wanted to, I don't know if you can see this okay. So in our subconscious mind, so the conscious mind is the goal setter. This is the part that sets the goals. The subconscious mind is the goal achiever. This is the doing. This is the knowing. This is the doing. So in the subconscious mind is running all of our bodily functions, everything. It's running everything. But when we were born, I like to think sometimes that this is like split. Like one part is all our bodily functions, and on the other half is when we were born, we were recording everything that was in our environment, beliefs, conversations, the energy, everything we were recording. And all those recordings were shaping our self image, how we saw ourselves, how we saw the world. So that has already been recorded. And that's how we behave day in and day out. But we didn't have any say about that. We didn't have any choice. So, what we get to do now, this is why we talked about upgrading your self image, going to the next version of you. And Jamel had mentioned that it's the goal that brings out that dormant power within you. There's no reason for you to change unless a goal, something that you truly desire. That's what gets you thinking differently and behaving differently. But we got to change that other part of us. We have to let it know by affirmations, by journaling, by taking action, even if it's uncomfortable in the beginning. We have to let that old self image know that there's a new sheriff in town. But it takes constant, it's repetition, 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 along with belief and taking actions, even if you're not comfortable, even if you think you're an imposter. Oh, we hear a lot of imposter syndrome, right? But it doesn't fit. It is you. It's just a newer version of you. And it may take some time. So I just wanted to say, so you have this overall feeling, this overall vibration of who you are. And this vibration has been with you your whole life. And this is what's drawing all the experiences, the people, the circumstances, the conditions to you. But we all have the power to shift that. I just had to I just had to get that out there.
Well said. Well said. Paul?
Yeah, no, that was good. And David dropped another comment there. He said, "Belief in action is true harmony," and that's so true. And that's similar to what I was saying, where positive thinking is just a half truth, because if it's not in alignment with our actions, then, as David said, we're not in harmony. So you're only in harmony when your actions match your belief. That's what praxis is. It's where your knowledge and your action meet. And that ensures that the theory and the practice, they're in harmony. They're in harmony with your everyday life. You'll never go beyond where you believe. You'll never go beyond where you believe you can go. So, your belief, as Bob said, believe, and your belief will create the fact. Right? So, yeah, you have to, where you are right now is a result of your past thinking. But that doesn't mean, things can't change. So you can change your thinking today to create a different future. You don't have to stay on that same track. And as Lou and Jamel said, it's repetition, repetition, repetition. It's really, really important. That's the only way you can really change, because it was through repetition and through the programming that we all received from when we were young, and the environment we grew up in. So we developed this paradigm, we developed these beliefs, but we can change that, because you can do anything you want, and you have to believe that. You would tell your kids that, right? You would tell your kids you can be and do anything you want, and you want to instill that in them. But now you have to instill that in yourself. So mirror talk, like Jamel was saying, is really good, but it is through repetition. It's journaling, it's saying those affirmations, but then it's also setting, like Jamel, I loved it. He said, inspired action, right? Take inspired action. So you have to set purposeful goals, and then ensure your actions are tied to meaningful, belief-driven objectives. And that's really, really key. And you have to, get on yourself, but not get on yourself like beat yourself up, but just, if you want to change, you have to sort of incorporate, new habits that are in alignment with what you believe. And then just start small, just incremental things, right? And just start incorporating those into your life every day with your new belief system, and it all ties in, and just keep going with it and keep going. And if you have a misstep, hey, that's just part of success along the way.
Yeah, I love how you worded that, Paul. That's great. And that quote from Bob is amazing. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. I've been introducing affirmations, to my daughter. She's 6 years old. And, I at least get one or two from her daily. And I think back, I don't remember doing that as a child. Not my parents love me, and I love my parents very dearly. It's not to compare, but the point is, the power of telling yourself something that you might not understand, but as you start hearing it over and over, you believe it. Look at, so many different sports people, that face tremendous opposition, like, the tennis players, Serena and Venus, anybody, right? Think of all the people that faced so much, and they had this belief as they were playing, as they were practicing, even in boxing and, MMA maybe, and sprinting and track sports, Olympians, they had to believe in themselves when everyone else didn't believe in them.
And
You know?
and
Yeah.
even when the physical results were not visible, when
Yeah.
the physical results were not visible, I just had to throw that in there. Go ahead, Jamel.
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you, Lou. You know, especially when the physical results aren't there.
Mhm.
That's when you have to dig deep and really believe in something you can't see. That's why, believe in the unseen. You have to. And when you start believing something, when you start new, like Paul was sharing, this is very new to a lot of people, because we're so conditioned our whole lives to believe what we see with these eyes, what we hear with these ears. Sensory factors, they can be false. They can be a gift and a curse.
Yeah, I'll believe
So
it when I see it.
right, right. Most people say, I believe it when I see it.
Yeah.
No, the other way around. Believe it, then you'll see it. Right.
Mhm.
So when you start believing in something you can't see, and you're saying these affirmations daily, about yourself that empowers yourself, but also, whatever goal that you're aiming for, all you're doing is planting a little seed in that garden. And you want to start, at a good pace, just water it daily. Water it daily. That seed, may not go above the dirt or the surface yet, but you know that it's coming. You believe in that seed. That's all you're doing. You're planting beliefs in your subconscious mind, in spirit, actually. So as you start watering it daily, I'm looking at my huge bonsai trees. I've been growing bonsai trees from a seed, and they're so big, I had to put it on the floor. It's growing past the window. And here's that belief. It just keeps growing day after day after day after day. And before you know it, some days you don't have to water it because it's already growing based on how much water and nutrients you put into it. And now that you believe this thing or whatever goal it is, you can move with that action, knowing that this is happening. It's already happened, actually, in a deeper sense, right? Anybody want to jump in on that? Because I can go on and on about
Yeah,
that.
no, that's great, Jamel. I love what you said, and it's true. We see things with our physical eye. We see the outside world, but you have to see it in your mind's eye first. When you think about it, everything that you see was created twice, right? First in the mind, everything, the chair you're sitting on. When an architect, designs a building, he has it in his mind what he wants to see before, and then he puts it on paper, and then it's created, right? Then the workers come in and create it. There's so many examples. Athletes is such a great example. Jamel used for athletes. And that's why I love the Olympics, because you hear the backstories, right, of what they had to overcome. What some of these people had to overcome, or where they came from, and how people maybe didn't believe in them, or players who were considered too small, or whatever the case may be, right? Edmund Hillary, who first conquered Everest. People said it couldn't be done, but he just saw himself at the top. He saw himself there. He imagined it, that he would be there. And when the 4-minute mile was broken, he imagined it. He imagined seeing himself break that barrier. Whereas it was deemed by scientists that humans couldn't break the 4-minute mile, right? And people had tried, but once it was done, then within a year, I think there was, over, yeah, there was 100 people that broke that 4-minute mile, right? It was just people didn't believe it. So you have to see it in your mind's eye first, right? And then it's created. So I love that point. I just wanted to add on to that, Jamel.
And
Absolutely.
I'm gonna tag on here too. So having faith or believing, absolutely. But then there's this next step. You just know. You just know. You may not know when, you may not know how, all the hows, but you just know. And this is why understanding law of mind, this is why, oh, did I freeze?
No.
You're good.
Oh, okay. Okay. Jamel was like frozen, so I didn't know
Yeah.
if I had an
I'm
internet
going too
thing.
much over here. It's me.
So this is why understanding who you are, how the law of mind works, how universal laws work, they will work. They work from the beginning of time till infinity. Technology can never change them. They're unchangeable. So when you understand that this is how everything goes from a no thing and an idea that you cannot see into physical matter, that process is the same process over and over. When we watch, I'm sure Jamel and Paul would agree, whenever you watch a movie or read a book and the guy, the person at the end, the main character wins or something, you already know the process. When you watch a documentary and you see where that, we'll just say it's an athlete, came from and all the adversities they had to go through and all the challenges and everything. And then they, whatever, they're an Olympic gold medalist, whatever it may be, you know, we know that process. We know it because it's the same process over and over. This is why being self-aware, understanding law of mind, understanding universal laws, we know when you follow the laws by doing the things that we suggest here, by law, by law, it must come into physical form. But it's that believing and the knowing combined along with the actions, right? And having those thoughts, feelings, and actions in harmony, in alignment. So you are now in a new vibration, but it has to be a new vibration consistently, not just every now and then. This is why becoming, I have this quote here by Jim Rohn. Success is not to be pursued, it is to be attracted by the person you become. See, if one person can be successful, that means any person can be successful because it's all by law. And Jim Rohn didn't say, oh, you have to work super hard, right? You know, you got to sell your soul to be successful. He says it is to be attracted by the person you become. It's your beingness. It's embodying the person with the goal achieved and believing it with every cell of your body.
Oh, wow. That's beautiful. I love that quote.
Can we have an amen?
Amen. Yes. Somebody put amen in the chat.
Amen.
So speaking of, viewers, I see, we have people live here. So feel free to drop a question, about this topic because we're here to help you, and not even a question, a comment on what's being shared here because we like to interact with you. And speaking of that, this is getting clarity on asking yourself, what do you want? What do you want to believe in? You ask yourself that. What do I want? And this gives you that guidance, that direction on, what to believe in that you can't see yet. There was a affirmation I tell myself, thank you for your guidance. Thank you for guidance today. Because I open myself up to intuition based on my goal. So intuition, it's interesting because once you know where you're going and what you desire the most and what you are achieving or what you're becoming first, then you get so much clarity. And, what you see sees you. So this is important to get clarity on what you want to believe in that you can't see yet with your eyes, the naked eye, right? So it's kind of, you have to get very clear. It's kind of like, I remember when we bought our 4K big screen or whatever, it has to be really clear fidelity, right? For all my techie people here, 4K, 8K, super clear. Paul has
No idea.
glasses on, so he sees better with his glasses in the computer, right? So you want to see that vision. What does it look like to you? This is what you want to believe in. Get clarity on where you're going and what you choose. Because without clarity, you're lost, right? You become the plaything for outside sources. You're a ship in the ocean without a rudder. You're being tossed around by the current. We're goal-seeking organisms. Pick one thing at a time, believe in it, and have that daily work on yourself. If you don't work on yourself, what do you think is going to happen? Right? You just allow the outside to shape your thoughts, affect your subconscious, and you're just being beaten up. Mike Tyson's throwing punches at you and you're about to get knocked out, right? You want to reverse that and I wouldn't say beat yourself up, but build yourself up. Build yourself up, because you deserve that. You deserve whatever you desire, and you can be, do, or have anything you ever want, but you have to believe that. Yeah.
That's why we're the highest form of creation. I go to public speaking classes, and every week we all get up and we do our little thing. And last week I started off with, have you ever heard the phrase, you're the highest form of creation? And, everyone raised their hands. I says, does anyone really know what that means? And no one really did. Sounds lovely, but what the heck does it really mean? And when you start to understand this material, when you start to understand you, when you start to understand why we have challenges, why there's ups and downs in life, why we have life, why we're here, it all starts to make so much sense. That we do see, a squirrel can only be a squirrel, a tree can only be a tree, but they're not fretting. The tree is not worrying, oh my gosh, am I going to grow taller? Oh, what do they call those things, those big knolls? No, what do they call when it grows? Anyways, doesn't matter. But a tree doesn't look at another tree and say, wow, that tree's taller, that tree has more branches, right? A squirrel doesn't say, oh, look at that squirrel with her big fluffy tail. Oh, isn't she lucky? They're just being, because they've all been programmed. They don't have to think about anything. They just are being. They're just doing their thing. But we have the ability to think. We have imagination, we have perception, we have all these wonderful, wonderful creative tools so we can create our own environment. It's only the people, the humans that are going around in their own environment, confused, depressed, anxious, right? Nothing else in nature is doing that. And why is that? Because we all have the ability to think, and we've all been programmed to think a certain way, depending on where you were raised, who raised you, which developed this self-image. Now think about it, a baby doesn't come into the world with a self-image, but everything that we do is based on this self-image. And we don't even have to think about it. It comes natural. Our behavior comes natural to us according to this self-image that we have. So this is why upgrading that version, that next version of you, and there's so many, who knows how many layers and how many different versions there are. But this is why upgrading that version, and when you believe and take actions, it will start, your actions and behavior will start to come naturally, just like they do now. You don't have to think about how you're behaving. You're just doing, because the subconscious mind has a program already in. Okay, this is who she is. This is what she does when she wakes up. This is what she does When she's in a social environment, this is what she does. Da 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 da. It's already has it all programmed. So we get to upgrade that, but you have to truly want to. Not just, this is why being emotionally connected to what you truly want is key. Because that old belief system, that old self-image is going to take you sideways. Who do you think you are? That's not you. Stop being an imposter, will you? Everybody's laughing at you. People are talking about you. How come you're doing something no one else is doing? Blah, 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 blah. Right? It's like Alicia would say with her little dolls on her shoulders. This is why being emotionally connected, this is why when you lead yourself, leaders do not make excuses. They keep their eye on the goal and they just keep moving towards it, regardless of what other people may be saying or doing, or they have a vision. This is why anyone who's ever achieved anything worth mentioning, they were all laughed at. Carl Benz was laughed at. The Wright brothers, their father said they were going to burn in hell. Right? How many times Thomas Edison? What, 10,000 times? But they kept going because they knew. They knew. They didn't know when, and they weren't exactly sure on all the hows, but they knew, and they persisted. And when you focus on what it is that you truly want, when you're emotionally connected, all that outside distractions start to fade. But if you get caught up and say, oh my gosh, what are they saying? Oh my God, they're not doing what I'm doing. Then you're going to just fall right back where you were, which is your prerogative, right? It's your choice. So what we're talking about here, why we are here, is for growth-minded people who know there's so much more, and you can have more without the forget the guilt.
Oh, wow. Paul, did you want to add something there? Or?
Well, no, it's so good, right? And like Lou said, I mean, what separates us from the rest of the animal kingdom is that we do have those higher faculties that we spoke about a while ago, right? That, you know, the animals, they're programmed. They operate by instinct alone, right? But we have the higher faculties that we can use, right? Like imagination is probably, and I think we all agree that that was one of the ones that was the most powerful. You know, we can imagine anything and we can create anything, and if we can imagine it, then it's possible, right? Otherwise, we couldn't imagine it. But you know, your state of mind must be belief. It can't be mere hope or wish. I hope that happens, or I wish that happens. You have to really believe it, like Lou said. You have to really believe it at its core. And you can, right? You can do anything, and people prove that. And people, like Lou said, they do get laughed at and ridiculed. And you know, scientists are conducting experiments all the time, and you know, they don't work right off the bat. It doesn't happen right off the bat, but they learn from their mistakes and they try again, but they believe in their process and they continue on the process, and they have that end in mind. They see what they want to achieve, right? The architect sees the building in his mind. The scientist sees the result that they want, and they keep working towards it in spite of, you know, the challenges they face, or the downfalls, or the failures. But that's just giving them feedback, and they use that feedback to make, you know, their course correction. And we just, you know, you have to, when you believe in something, and you have to get emotionally attached to it, otherwise you're going to let it fall by the wayside. But when you get emotionally attached, involved with that thing that you want, you know, you will just keep taking those steps towards that thing. And you know, a good thing is to, you know, practice visualization, right? You want to picture how your action that you're taking, you know, picture the outcome and how will that feel, right? Visualize that. Visualize how that result will feel to you, and put yourself there, right? And get that feeling. So, and that will help override those feelings of, anxiousness and anxiety and failure and I can't, and those types of things, where you have to just keep visualizing and picturing the end result and that success at the end, and keep stepping towards that goal.
Mm.
Oh no, this is such a great conversation. It's beautiful because you know feeling is the secret.
Mhm.
You know, so how do you feel something as though it's done, but it's not here? This is why Paul mentioned we have these mental faculties, these gifts. You're tapping into the spirit realm or energy or whatever you believe in. So you're using your imagination over and over. You're visualizing, Sandy, visioneering, right? So you're engineering specifically the experience. How does it feel? Who's around you when it's done? How do you feel in that moment? You're getting emotionally involved with it. And I love where Paul said, it's not a mere hope or wish. You have to believe it. You have to believe in that version of you. So how do you do that? In fear and faith, fear, hope and wish is based on fear, if you think about it, because it's almost doubt, right? You're on a negative polarity. And this is why we're here to kind of show you what you already have inside of you. It's already there. It's just waiting to be tapped into. So this shifts your perception. Oh, I hope that happens one day. Well, I'll be a good person and work hard. I wish it'll happen. That's what I wish. No, believe in it. Believe in that, because that's what's been placed in your heart, in your mind, in your spirit. It's there in you. It's not placed there by accident. This is what you desire. Why do you desire it? You want to grow. Like what? Like that flower, And Lou inspired me to pull out this book. I'm not going to share what it is, but it is Neville Goddard. And this is about inner speech. And I'll just read a little bit of it because it's so appropriate right now. Because we're talking about how do you believe in something, the integration of belief with behavior, which is practice, right? So how do you believe in something and take action while believing in it? So this is how you talk to yourself. This is very important. Inner speech from premises of fulfilled desire is the way to create an intelligible world for yourself. Observe your inner speech, for it is the cause of future action. Okay? Inner speech reveals the state of consciousness from which you view the world. Make your inner speech match your fulfilled desire. For your inner speech is manifested all around you in happenings. So happenings is basically your so-called reality, your results. So how are you speaking to yourself every day? And what type of thoughts are you impressing in your subconscious mind? Because what you're thinking and how you feel can't be separated. They work together. You can think, about the most beautiful day in your life. Maybe you have a family, maybe you went on a great vacation. I remember we went on the cruise recently before the end of the year. Paul had an amazing weekend as well. So go to that place in your mind. Think about that great day, your birthday, maybe you got married, whatever special moment, right? It feels good. Feel the feeling, right? So you can use that same thing, your memory, which is a mental faculty, and use that gift in the same way of feeling the wish fulfilled, feeling as though it's done. And this is why detail is so important, and imagination, and just keep on every day. Time is our one of our best assets, right? So utilize that time on who you're becoming, you know. So we didn't even get to the next question. I just kind of, Lou inspired me to bring,
But I think the next question, if we could just go over, it's really important till we can give an example, each one of us a quick example. I think
absolutely.
it's really important to share.
Okay. So, can you recall a time when you believed something consciously, but didn't really feel it was true as you were taking the action? And how did you shift this conscious belief to your subconscious, if so?
I'll go quickly.
Okay.
So, I mean, I think we all went through it, becoming mindset mentors from what we were previously. But I use the example when real estate. When I decided to become a realtor, um, I took all, got my license, yada, yada. I was what we call a secret agent because I had the license, I had the business cards, I was affiliated with an office, I dressed the part, I attended meetings. But when I was out socially and someone would ask me what it is that I did, I had a difficult time at the beginning really saying that I was a realtor with conviction. I said it, but not with conviction. And many people starting off in a new career, but especially with real estate, because that was my background, there are many, many secret agents. And so, how do we transition over from the secret agent to being her, being an agent? And that was through actions. That was through shadowing people. That was through going through trainings. That was through going on appointments. That was through making the phone calls over and over and over. And then slowly the image starts to change. You don't even realize it's happening. But sometimes someone would hang up the phone or close the door in your face, whatever it may be, a yes, a no. These are all shaping and helping you or me at the time into a realtor because the realtor faces many challenges. So as I was facing these ups and downs, I was becoming her. And the more I became her, the more my sales increased. The more when I walked into a room, the more I shook someone's hand. I did it with conviction and certainty that I could help this person. When I went on a listing appointment, when I had a buyer's consultation, I was calm and relaxed because I knew I could help someone. So it was in every cell of my body. I internalized the new image of being a realtor, being a successful realtor. I embodied her. So I think that's just a little example, but it didn't happen overnight, but I felt like an imposter for quite some time until my thoughts, emotions, and actions believed that I was a realtor, and a very good one at that. So I just wanted to share that. I think it's very powerful to give that example. Anyone else?
That is a great example, Lou. And as you said, when we transitioned into, studying under Bob, I'm a successful landscape business. I'm a landscape designer. I had no problem telling people that. I had no problem talking about that. But my inherent nature was to grow. I wanted, I saw something more of myself. I wanted to pull that out. And when I came across Bob Proctor, I just fell in love with his material and what he was teaching and the books and the studying. And I was doing the studying and I was going to the trainings and doing all that thing. But in my mind, I was still kind of a landscape designer first. And I was a mindset success mentor, and I was a Proctor Gallagher consultant. And so that was always secondary. But I had to, like Lou said, I had to be that person first before you can do something. You have to be before you can do. And so I wasn't being that person. I was being the person in my old position. and this was sort of like a sort of a side thing, but I had to switch that around. So I had to just start, like Lou said, I had to just start, I be that person. You know, I started giving the talks. I started renting rooms and doing live events, and then I started doing master classes, you know, on Zoom and things like that. I just had to be that person. I had to, you know, and then I became that person, right? I had to be that person, and then but you have to take those actions, like we said before. You have to take the actions that are in alignment with your belief. So in my mind, I was a Procter Gallagher consultant, but I wasn't really behaving like the consultant. I had the reading. You know, I wanted to learn more. I wanted to be really good at it. I wanted to really know this material before I thought I could share it, right? Or otherwise I was going to feel like this imposter, like Lou said, right? We have this imposter syndrome. I just had to get out there and start doing it. And then I, you know, and saw myself as that person and started to see those results and see the kind of business that I wanted to have and the person that I wanted to be. And I just had to start being that and started behaving like that and had to start taking the actions. And it's just small incremental actions, right? You can't just sort of, you know, I didn't just close up shop and then open up another shop. I didn't do that. It was a transition period. Probably took me longer than I really should have, but I did get there. But it really was, like Lou said, it just, you know, don't be a secret agent, you know, be that person and start taking the actions that align with being that person.
Wow, these are such powerful stories. This has been great. Hopefully everybody's getting some value from this, you know, session. You know, we're really going there. And, you know, kind of wrap it up here, you know, I'll get vulnerable, you know, because Paul said something that triggered something I learned from The Secret. You know, a lot of us think we need to do this thing, and then we can have this thing, and then we become. And a lot of us have it backwards. You must become, then do, and you can have. So it's a different way of seeing how the creative process works. You be that person first, or that version of you you become. And this is very connected to praxis when you think about it. You know, the integration of belief with behavior. So to be vulnerable here, you know, I'm thinking about, you know, my coaching business. I believed it in the conscious mind, you know, oh, I'm going to be the top consultant, you know, but I was coming from a traditional working background, right? So here, as Paul was mentioning, I was divided, you know, between my past and where I was going. So in my conscious mind, I believed it, but in my subconscious, I didn't, because, you know, the certain goals that I'm achieving, you know, would be here, right? So what I'm saying is basically I wasn't taking the actions, and not taking the actions based on what you say you believe in. It's disharmony, right? And to hold on to disharmony, you want to be in harmony, taking the actions, believing in it, consciously and subconsciously. So listening to both of you share that story, I don't know, you know, that came to mind, you know, because I know it can help somebody here, because you might believe something, but you're not really taking the physical action of doing it, inspired action, right? And that's where it comes with the paradigm. When you're not taking the action, your old self is holding you back, right? It's still there, still present. You weaken it by taking the action. Sometimes, you know, you don't even need to study. Sometimes I wouldn't. Bob doesn't like that. Study is important, but taking the action. Sorry, Bob.
You look down instead of up, Jamel.
Well, I'm looking at something here. Oh, you know, so taking the action weakens the old self, the action that you normally don't do.
That's right.
Right. So that's getting uncomfortable, doing something you're not used to doing. that you know will take you to the version that you believe yourself to be in, right? You want to match that action with that goal and that belief, because when you don't, it's not aligned, right? And the frequencies need to match. So
It's
hopefully
free
that helps somebody. Yeah.
procrastination, doubt really creeps in, right? So it's embodying, it's stepping into that energy, claiming it, and saying, yeah, this is it. This is me, baby. This is the new version of me. Claim it, own it, be proud of it. Right?
Exactly. So we have an exercise for you. We're going to put it in the comments on one of our posts. Whatever platform you're viewing this from, you'll see that there. That way you can apply this knowledge, and, not just have it be entertaining, but if it really spoke to you or anything spoke to you, this exercise will help move you forward to understanding it more through experience, but also getting you closer to where you're headed and give you some clarity as well. And speaking of clarity, we want to help you. We're all here for you. We're awesome group of individuals with great hearts. But we're here to guide you with this knowledge. We're here to help you with it. And doing it by yourself can really be tough when you don't understand what's happening. And do you want the same results as last year and the year before? Or do you really want to start believing in yourself and taking action towards that version of you that that's been lying there? Okay. So any last words?
Yeah, just it can be very overwhelming, right? But it's just, identify small, immediate. I just wrote this down. Identify small, immediate actions to bring you into alignment. And, it is really useful to engage with a mentor to gain some external perspectives. So I'll just end with that.
And make decisions from where you want to be, not where you are now.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. We'll see you next Sunday, 10
Thank you.
a.m. Eastern.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Make sure you reach out to us. Our call links are in the description. Bye.